Hi, I'm Kerry Watkins. I'm a BDM here at Arrow ECS, and today I'm joined with Steve.
Hi, Kerry. My name's Steve Horobin. I work here at Arrow and I look after the modern data center practice from a pre-sales point of view.
Right, so I've got a few questions around the cost savings around VCF today. So there is a lot of talk about cloud delivering real-time savings. How does an application like VCF do this?
Cloud, okay, public cloud, private cloud, how does VCF deliver savings? I think a lot of people, if we go back a number of years, thought the public cloud was going to be the answer to everything. So a lot of people then started doing shadow IT, I think was one of the phrases that I heard of. So people with their own credit cards going and registering and moving some applications or doing some development work in the cloud. And this shadow IT became quite prevalent. People then running their own credit cards and not running it through the main IT management organization. So I think with VMware, you're able to take control of that. So you're looking at a private cloud installation. You own the whole environment. The IT manager owns the environment. And he has the capability then within the VMware structure and with VCF 9, the latest release, to start and see how he can manage his own IT budget, but delivering that flexibility that a lot of the individual department heads wanted when they were using their own credit cards to take their own versions into the cloud. So they can now stop doing that. They can work with the central IT management infrastructure where they have the flexibility to create those virtual machines that people want when they're developing new applications or running existing key applications that are key to the ongoing operation of the business itself. So it puts a lot more of that control back into the hands of the IT management and helps them with the flexibility to operate like a public cloud, but in a private way. So you get a lot of flexibility by doing it in a private cloud, specifically now with the VMware VCF 9 as well.
No, that's really great. And going back to that, organizations demand ROI on large investments. So how would you ensure that organizations realize all the benefits of a solution like VCF?
That's an interesting one. I think if you look at traditional ways where people may have deployed their own IT solutions in their own data centers, they will have gone out maybe on a project-by-project basis and purchased your servers, your mainframes, your mini computers, whatever you need for that specific project. And then you go and buy the storage required for that specific project. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of investment made in new technology designed for a certain project to be deployed. Now you look at that and you think, well, that may be a lot of wasted money because I've got other technology in my data center already that was purchased for a certain project that never matured. So why can't I use that? Mm-hmm. So you need to make sure that your investment in technology is controlled. Now, I think the great thing with VMware, when you look at VCF 9, is that you're able to deploy and expand the technology as and when you need to. So you can start off with a simple 3 or 4 cluster environment, 3 or 4 servers in a cluster, and that will deliver the basic foundation that you need to start and deliver virtual machines with the inherent networking and storage associated with the VMware application. But then as you grow and you need to have more virtual machines, maybe greater storage, the larger networking, then you can add node by node as you grow. So you're controlling your investment, you're making sure that it's being utilized to its best capability in a small byte means, rather than having to spend millions and deploying big servers and storage for an application that may never deliver. You can now deploy smaller, granular servers, growing the VMware cluster in a very simple and controlled way. So your return on investment is very, very good. You are controlling the investment to make sure it is for virtual machines you're going to be deploying, but you can also then later bring those virtual machines out and redeploy them as other applications need. So your return on investment is very, very granular and very controlled.
No, that's really interesting. And keeping on the topic of ROI, why is private cloud maturity more than just ROI?
Private cloud maturity, if you look at the ROI, it's a key facet of that, as we just discussed. But I think the maturity is around the additional functionality that's offered with VCF 9 these days. So the storage, having the vSAN capability, having the NSX networking. So those kind of backbone features that every virtual machine will need to connect to as you deploy it. But you have the flexibility to own the security associated with that. You have the capability to utilize new application development environments like Kubernetes and moving into container-based deployments. Easy for me to say. But that gives you the flexibility above and beyond just ROI. So you have all the applications that are available in virtualized environments, meeting legislations from certain regulatory bodies, meeting corporate guidelines around security standards. So it's all there for you for the taking. So as you say, it's not just the ROI that you're looking at, but the whole maturity of the IT infrastructure and the IT capability that's been deployed around this kind of VCF 9 architecture.
No, that's really interesting. And final question on the cost savings with VCF. So what are the common challenges that companies face in achieving cost savings in the cloud, and how can they overcome those?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think cost savings in the cloud was something originally that people thought was the obvious thing to do. So we mentioned shadow IT and credit card deployments. But you're going to go to the cloud and you're going to deploy something. Now, which cloud do you go to? You go to one of the big hyperscalers. I won't go through all the names and everything, but they're obviously in a competitive environment. So you go to hyperscaler A on day one and they offer you so much, pence per virtual CPU and this and that and the other around storage and networking. Then you look at a different hyperscaler 6 months later and they're cheaper. So if you're managing your IT budget, you always want to make sure you're getting the best return on your investment, even though it's cloud-based. Now, I think what people are trying to do now is to move away from that uncertainty, that growth, that inherent cost increases that some of the big hyperscalers are going to bring. There's a lot of discussions around product supply constraints at the moment. So we know even the hyperscalers, although they may be causing some of these constraints, are going to be charging people to try and recover the costs of some of these acquisitions they're having to make. So costs are fluid and flexible, maybe not in the right hyperscaler that you've selected. So if you have the capability to bring that functionality out of the cloud, out of the different hyperscalers, and put it onto your own private cloud in your VCF 9 environment, you own that, you control it. So you can dictate how much you're paying for your server acquisitions when you grow your cluster, how much you're paying for your storage when you put your vSAN storage into the systems, how much the virtual networking may be per virtual port. So you have a lot more control over it. And I think that's what people are looking for these days, because budgets are shrinking. People are having to do more with less, an old phrase. But if you own it and you know it and you understand how it's built and charged and costed out to the relevant businesses, then you have better control over your budgets and how better to use that with an on-prem private cloud.
That's really great, Steve. Thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you.